Welcome to the season finale installment of Automate That. Cody, good to see you.
Good to see you too, pal.
How have you been doing?
Been doing pretty good. Can't complain. How about you, man?
I'm doing great. I am very excited to do this episode. Kind of amazed that this is the 10th episode we've done this season, plus the 6 that we've done before. I think we've done 16 of these.
Sweet 16. Someone buy me a car.
I'm not going to do that, but if somebody wanted to, I would support it. Okay, let's move into this. Again, it's Automate That. It's Cody. It's me. It's the automation recipe of the week. Cody, can you please give us a drum roll?
Boom, 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 boom.
Wow, season finale drum roll did not disappoint at all. The automation recipe of the week for the email subject lines episode is determine the best sales email subject line. Cody, take it away.
Oh, we got them back of the baseball card stats for you. First of all, any industry can use this. If you're selling something, use this to determine the best way to sell it. Features, split action, email, and goals. Use cases, sales. Experience level, growth. Again, we always like to point out, it doesn't mean the automation is hard to set up. It usually just requires work ahead of time. For instance, you want to make sure you know how you're splitting the contacts, and you want to make sure how your different series are going to differ from each other. That's a little bit easier to do before you go in and start importing this. And of course, stage of the journey, convert and close.
Yes. And as you can see here in this little preview image on the right, Cody, like we said, we've done 16 of these, but I do think that this is the first one that has a split action in it. Is that right?
I do believe so. It's our first split action. Great
Awesome.
to split from season 1 to season 2.
Wow. That was pretty good. I'll give that
Thanks.
to you.
Hey,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So if we're thinking about what this recipe lets us do, what are we looking at?
Well, it allows you to compare 2 or more different sales email series, determine which is better based on sales-driven results, which let me pause there for a second, Ernie, because I want to point out how much I love that. So yes, you can determine the winner yourself, but the beautiful thing about using our split action, you determine the condition with which they choose a winner. Our default is a purchase being made. You could set it to links being clicked for your product page, that site being visited, and we'll go through those in a bit, but that's the thing. You're not having to guess. The one that wins is the one that has the proof behind it, which is huge. As this also says, we have 2 in our example, but you can always build out another split action and send people down a third pathway. Know which sales drip campaign emails resonate with the audience, lead to higher conversions. This is perfect because you can compare everything from, as our focus is today, email subject lines, to the content, to everything. This really lets you know what your customer base responds to, which ties directly into our third point: improve your messaging and develop your sales lead nurturing email campaigns, which, we put this here and it's very true, but I like to think of it as discover your brand, discover your voice, discover how often you email, discover what works for you and your customer base as you get new leads, as old leads come back, all sorts of great things.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've talked about throughout the content of this episode, trying to figure out and really nail down who your audience is, the type of messaging that they like, the type of messaging that resonates with them more and ends up getting you that open, that click, that action rate. This automation recipe is going to help you test more than one thing at a time. So that is certainly great. If we're going to the automation store, wow, we have a long list of ingredients here. What are we looking at here?
We got a lot to pick up today. We're going to take a subscribes to list trigger, a split action, 6 send email actions. Again, this is fully customizable. That could be more for you. 4 wait steps. Again, could be more. 2 goal steps, 2 tag actions.
This recipe really does. This is like a Sunday night family dinner type recipe. We've got all kinds of things going on here. We've got adding to list, we've got segmentation, we've got goals, we've got wait steps, we've got emails, we've got split actions. We are showing off a little bit with this recipe, showing off the skills in the automation kitchen, if you will.
It's what I call charcuterie automations, man. I just made that up right now, but I'm going to call automations like this charcuterie automations, a little bit of everything.
I enjoy that. I like that. I support that. We've got the ingredients home. We're putting them on the counter. We have to get our mise en place. What do we got to do first?
So before we start importing this automation, you want to set up, if you're going to use the default sell is made condition, you want to set up that e-commerce integration. Now, again, if you're thinking, I don't really use Shopify or WooCommerce, one of the integrations that ActiveCampaign has, you can always use site tracking or links click to get an idea of at least interested parties. Or like we've said, maybe that conversion event isn't a sell. Maybe it's a marketing related conversion. You can still use this recipe and track the wanted conversion. But make sure your conversion is set up, is what this first point is basically saying. 2, determine how the sales drip differ. As we've talked about before too, is it only the content that changes? Are there different promos or offers going on? Is the timing different? Is it entirely different look? Or for our focus today, is the email subject lines, how different are they? Is it just rewording? Is it a completely different vibe? And one thing I always like to call out too, you can make it as small as the from name and the from address, because those people will respond differently too, and you can get an idea of who these emails should be from.
Yeah, that's such a great point, and it's something that we have talked about throughout the testing portion of this episode in Growth Decoded as well. Is just, if you're going to test, some people recommend making small tests. Some people recommend making full scale, large changes, whether it's make the entire drip with images or without images, or one very long detailed version and one very short to the point version. To your point, who is the email coming from? What style is the subject line? Anything that you want to test, you're going to want to figure out that beforehand, because if you kind of get in here trying to figure out what you're going to test when you're setting up the automation, the odds that you have a successful test that yields any sort of actionable results for you are going to go down. So it's really to your benefit to figure out exactly what you want to test in that split before you get this automation going in your account. So with all that said, now that we've got our mise en place, we've got our ingredients ready, let's take a look at this thing. Okay, Cody, it's long. It's a little intimidating. I'm not going to lie to you. Can you set us at ease here? What are we looking at?
Yes, it's actually going to be super easy. Think of it as 2 actions and then a mirror of a drip series. So the very first thing is going to be that trigger. When someone subscribes to your list, or you can use any trigger, submit your form, however you want to kick this off, then they'll enter the automation. They'll then be split. This is a moment I like to talk about. You will set how the split works on this action. So if you want to choose manually, you can set it to run indefinitely and just use your own kind of reporting. If you want it to decide for you, like we have 300 contacts run through it, with whichever of the contacts buys more products, that's the winner for us. But that's where you're going to set up those conditions, how you want to split it. As you pointed out, Ernie, you can also do a date-based split so that you send one and then you split based on that date. But then once they're split, they're going to go into the 2 different drips. It's going to be one email, then a wait, which could differ, as we've said. Maybe you're testing out timing. That second email in the series, the third wait or second wait, and then the third email. Now you can track and keep a wait there if you want to really use that goal to do manual tracking. But if contacts leave the automation and then they buy after that third email, the split action will track that. But then we got our goals, because as we know, if someone makes a purchase or if someone takes your conversion action, you don't want to send them 2 more emails saying, hey, we'd really love for you to do that thing. So that goal helps us by taking the contacts out of their respective flows, sending them to the bottom and letting them exit, but not before they are tagged. This is something I like to do. It helps make manual reporting easier, or when you're going through the system, just trying to figure out which contacts did something or not. Made a purchase flow A, made a purchase flow B. That's what those tags are on the bottom. Contacts who did not make a purchase, we have the goal set up that they exit the automation at the goal step. So don't worry, not everyone will get a tag that says they made a purchase if they didn't. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot, I'm not going to lie, but it's a lot that helps save you time and really help you figure out what direction you want to take your sales in.
Right. And I think you did a great job of saying, it is basically just 2 actions and then 2 separate automations running under the same umbrella. And then eventually, one automation is going to win out based on whatever the conversion data is that you get from those automations. And there's so many steps here. Just to point out, we love to call it the salt to taste, which is, change this automation and make it more specific to your business and your processes, right? Any of those wait steps can change. You can add emails if you wanted to do 5 emails instead of 3. You can change the wait steps, like I said, from a day to 2 days to a week to whatever makes sense for you. Add emails in, subtract emails in, and then also change the way that the winner is selected from that split test. So lots of different ways for you to customize. This is, again, just a framework to give you an idea. If you had a use case in mind, you wanted to know how you could automate it, this is how you would do it. But again, set it up to fit your business's unique requirements and needs. So Cody, based on this, we've got some related recipes here. What are we looking at?
Well, the big thing we wanted to do was, if you are doing any sort of sales, even if you're not an e-commerce business, you should probably also be running these 3 recipes. If you're thinking, I'm using this more for marketing purposes, and you guys have been talking about that, you can actually take the word purchase in the last 2 and almost just change it to conversion, because you can change the triggers, you can change the conditions, you can set it to track whatever conversion you're looking for. Maybe they're signing up for a membership list, maybe something like that. But I'll go through them now. First of all, abandoned cart reminder. We've gone over this one on Automate That before, and we've also gone on a couple of other abandoned cart automations as well. But the gist of the idea is, when someone leaves a cart on your site, send them a gentle reminder saying, hey, we noticed that you left this, these deals aren't going to be around forever. Do you want to buy? Second, after purchase follow-up or after conversion follow-up. This one is, just a series of emails that go out after purchase is made. So you might, send a confirmation email early, and then wait 2 weeks, send a check-in, and then wait a couple more weeks and send, hey, we'd love for you to fill out this review. Maybe you're sending instructions. Maybe you're sending accessory upsell emails. However you want to follow up, whatever makes sense, you can do with this. Now, the last one, store customer last purchase date. Some people see this, they're like, why do I want to store that? Well, let's think about with marketing. We tracked last engaged date a lot so that we can know if someone's starting to become less engaged and try to re-engage them. It's very similar, but with sales. We see when the last time someone bought something was. We can build out automations based on if that date gets too far down the cycle, especially if you're someone who there's refills needed, or your product that you sell, you need to, restock up your kitchen there. This is a great one to say, like, hey, we think you're probably running low based on the timing. Don't run out. Start buying today, or something like that.
Yeah. I love that point that you made up about just inserting the word conversion in instead of purchase. Again, these are just to give you ideas about the different things that can be automated. So, if you've got a specific email drip content series or whatever it is after somebody signs up and redeems a piece of gated content or attends a webinar, or fill in the blank, like you said with conversion, that second automation is really going to help you send that specific automation sequence, or at least give you the framework to where you could create that for yourself. So these are all great suggestions, Cody. Thank you as always. I appreciate it. Season 1 is done. 10 episodes of Automate That, 10 things, 10 questions that we had. How do you automate this? 10 answers. This is how you automate that. And that's that.
Automated. Have a great one, everyone.